Cyberpunk 2077 is a massive open world RPG, and it's only going to get bigger. It has been confirmed by CD Projekt Red that in 2023 we will be getting an expansion for Cyberpunk 2077, and this is called Phantom Liberty. In today's video we're going to go through everything we know so far about this DLC and when we can expect it to arrive. But just before we do get into all of that, I want to let you guys know about another channel I run. A link to the channel can be found in the description below, and on that channel I cover everything related to Rockstar games. This includes the Red Dead Redemption series and the Grand Theft Auto series, so if that sounds interesting to you, then you can go to the description and check that channel out. So please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any content just like this. So first of all, what I want to talk about is this expansion for Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be the last and final expansion for the game, and also the only expansion for the game. We've had, of course, updates in the past, like the Edge Runners update, and that did very, very well, and it was a very good update. But after this expansion, we won't really get much else. We may get maybe a small update or two, but generally speaking, this will be it for Cyberpunk 2077, as CDPR have already shared that they are working on the next game in the series, which is now called Project Orion. So once this expansion does release in 2023, the focus was just going to shift over to the next game in the series, really. Obviously, there'll still be a couple developers, and there'll be a couple patch updates after this expansion does release, but generally speaking, this will be it for Cyberpunk 2077. Of course, this isn't really much of an issue, to be honest, since the game is a single-player game. You can't expect support to go on forever for a single-player game, but obviously, you know, support with The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is still going on at the moment, so it would have been nice to see it last a little bit longer than it has, but yeah, it is what it is, really. So let's get into what we know so far about this Phantom Liberty DLC for Cyberpunk 2077. So this is going to be a spy thriller expansion set in an all-new district of Night City. So first thing is it's a spy thriller expansion, so focusing maybe on spies, and maybe there'll be some stealth involved in this expansion. You see a bit of stealth throughout the base game, and stealth is sort of optional. Maybe it'll be sort of implemented further into this expansion. Maybe in some missions it won't be optional, it'll be a compulsory mechanic in the mission, and it'll be the way you have to play the mission in order to progress. Previous missions in the game, generally speaking, you could either just go in guns blazing, or you could sneak your way around enemies to stay hidden. To be honest, a lot of people, providing they had powerful enough weapons, would just go in guns blazing, because in a lot of ways it was just easier, and in a lot of ways it was also more fun. But maybe with this, the stealth system will be improved a bit, and then you'll also, it'll be, further implemented into the game to the point where it's going to become compulsory for some missions, since you are, after all, it's a spy thriller. So one of the things that really stands out to me is this is set in an all-new district of Night City. To be honest, that's all we really know about that. This could mean that we're getting a full-on map expansion. We saw this with the Blood and Wine DLC for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, or it could just mean that you go to a certain location for the missions and then you can't really explore the area in free roam. It could be either of those. Or the worst outcome is that it means it's sort of an area in Night City that we've never really had any missions in before, and it's already, it's already a place you can explore in the game, and it'll be nothing that new to players. It'll just be a place where, there weren't many missions in the base game, and we'll be getting some there now. However, I do find that unlikely, since I don't think CD Projekt Red would disappoint fans that much, because, they're sort of just putting it on themselves there, and they're sort of just, they have no reason to, put players' expectations that high just to then disappoint. So to be honest, it looks like we are getting a map expansion with this DLC, which is really cool to see. This is going to be the first and only DLC for Cyberpunk 2077. It's nice to see that CDPR are going all out with this. Going back to the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Blood and Wine expansion, that map expansion was really, really cool, and the game actually felt a lot different over there. Maybe with this, this new map expansion for Cyberpunk 2077, the game's going to feel a lot different. With the Witcher 3 Blood and Wine, the colors and everything like that looks way different to the base game, and maybe that'll be the case with this, and it'll create a completely new feel for the game. And obviously with the new storyline as well, it's just going to feel like a completely different game. Obviously it'll be nice to see how this works. It could end up that this isn't a map expansion at all, but the way they've worded this with it being a new district of Night City, I take that to mean that it's a map expansion, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And if it is a map expansion, then it'll be interesting to see how you actually get there. Will it be fast travel, or will it sort of be just added onto the map? You can sort of drive over there or something like that. It'll be interesting to see how all of that works, and I'm sure we'll get more info on this as we get closer to the release of this expansion. I also think with this expansion, we could see a few things such as some new hairstyles and some general new cosmetic items to arrive in the game. We saw this with the Netflix Edge Runners update, which was, well, the Edge Runners update, which was related to the Netflix Edge Runners series, and that added loads of new cosmetic items, and that was a really, really popular update, and it, completely revived the game, to be honest. It had loads of people getting onto the game, and they, they discounted the game in local stores and stuff like that, which made it, it made the game really worth playing. Now, of course, this expansion isn't going to be free. This is going to be like the Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine expansions that we got in The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, so you can sort of expect a price tag of around £15 to £20, so $15 to $20 really is sort of the price tag I would expect for this. In a previous video, I went over how they're going to release a Game of the Year edition of the game, or well, complete edition, whatever you want to call it, later down the line. I expect that to be after this expansion does release, and it will include this expansion, and that will sort of be the complete game, with all of the content that's going to arrive in the game, since this is it really for Cyberpunk 2077. 2077. If you're interested in a detailed video going over this Game of the Year, Complete Edition, whatever you want to call it, I've done a previous video on the channel going all over that and what we can expect to arrive with it. I'll link that video in the description below. But yeah, to put it simply, once this does release, or when this does release, I think we'll get a Game of the Year or Complete Edition along with it. It could be at the same time, or it could be later down the line, but I think it's likely to be at the same time, since then, you know, that'll bring more people to the game and they'll be able to pay a bit more, but they'll get the expansion and the base game together. So this Phantom Liberty DLC is going to be releasing on PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. So yeah, as you can see, CD Projekt Red are saying goodbye to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, which is sort of to be expected in a way. Obviously, the actual game doesn't run well on the previous generation consoles anyway, so to them release the new expansion on those consoles as well would just be too much, and with it possibly being a map expansion, that would just be too much for those consoles to handle, to the point where, you know, it could just break the game even more than it already is, so it's really not worth it. Obviously, they'll probably make a little bit less money from this, but they're avoiding any sort of threats of any, you know, backlash from the community or anything like that, since, you know, the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S are powerful enough to be able to cope with Cyberpunk 2077, and of course PC, providing your PC is powerful enough, then you'll have no issues there. CDPR did actually confirm with patch 1.6, which was the Netflix Edge Runners update, that would be the last updates for the older generation consoles. So now, from now on, there will literally be nothing for those older generation consoles. So, you know, to be left with that Edge Runners update isn't a bad thing. That was a solid update for the game, and it added some great new, you know, some great new cosmetic items and a little bit of new content and everything like that. It was a really good update for the game, so it's a nice way to end things for those older generation consoles when it comes to Cyberpunk 2077. So yeah, to be honest, I think that was a good call from CD Projekt Red. So finally, we're on to the release date. So far, we literally just know 2023. We know nothing else at all. So in my opinion, the earliest we will get this is in April of 2023, and then the latest would be obviously by the end of 2023, unless there is some sort of delay. But I find that unlikely. I think that the fact they've not really announced much yet sort of means that, you know, they're working hard and they'll announce it when it's ready. But I think 2023 is when it will release, and I think it will be, you know, earliest of April, but I would expect it to release maybe near the end of 2023 possibly. But either way, all we know from CD Projekt Red themselves is 2023, and you know, I don't think it will release early on in the year. Like I said, that's why I said April, since I feel like if it was to release earlier than April, we'd already have more news than we do. All we have right now is just a trailer or two, and that's about it. We haven't got a proper release date, and I think if it was to release before April, we'd have a proper release date by now. You know, we see other games that are releasing before April in 2023, and they've all got proper release dates. We've got games releasing after April that also have proper release dates, so I find it unlikely to release before then. But there we go, that is everything we know about this Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty DLC. We talked about the price and what we can expect with the DLC, what platforms it will arrive on, and when we can expect it to arrive. Let me know down below if you'll be getting this DLC. Personally, I'm looking forward to it, and I'll definitely be purchasing it. So if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any content just like this. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.